Good afternoon, everybody. This is Brian here, Mashezha. I would like to thank you all for tuning in, especially the youths. That's our target audience that we want to talk to this afternoon. Acknowledging also my pastor, Pastor Bernadette Chiponda, who gave me this opportunity just to share with you this afternoon. So today I'm quickly going to talk about a topic that I've entitled planting and harvesting, right? Or if you want, we can easily just call it the battle, right? The battle, right? So now I want to drag us back a bit to a point where every one of us here accepted Christ as their personal savior. That moment when you received Jesus Christ and you said, God, you are the Lord of my life. Have your way in my life now. So I want to talk about the rudiments, or rather the principles that defines that move that we made to accept Jesus Christ. So we surrendered our lives to Christ, right? I believe you have surrendered your life to Christ. So now, surrendering basically means that ceasing resistance to an enemy or an opponent, or it also means submitting to their authority, right? And in the spiritual sense, we are actually in a battle between our personal will and the will of God, right? So we need to understand that principle, or that basic, why that as we surrender our life to Jesus, we are saying, take over. It's no longer I who lives, but it's Christ in me that is living, right? So if we're gonna read in the book of Romans chapter 7 verse 15, it talks that I do not understand my own actions, right? For I do not do what I want to do, but what I do hate, that's the very thing that I do. I'm sure we can all relate to something like that. That sometimes you just want to do good, you want to do the right thing, but you are inconsistently in a frame where you're just doing the things that are opposite to what you want to actually do. That's what Paul was saying in the book of Romans, that we are fighting against this. There's a battle between the will of God in us and our flesh desires, right? So it's more like we are basically in a war of some sort, right? Think about it this way: that a child, a 2-year-old child, if she doesn't get to have her cookie, no one tells her how to throw a tantrum, a temper tantrum, but she can just throw a tantrum, say, whatever, because it's in us, to just do, to have wrong expressions and to do wrong. It's like inborn in us, But the Bible is talking to us that there is a battle that we are consistently fighting in each and every time or every day of our lives, where the devil is trying to use us or to gain us, and the Lord as well is saying, you are on my side, but we gotta choose where we are, right? So now I want to talk about the second thing, which is choosing or deciding, right? So we either follow our sinful desires or impulses, or we either follow God's will, like what Joshua said in the book of Joshua 24, verse 15, where he actually declared that me and my household, we shall serve God. We shall follow the statutes of God, right? That was Joshua. So in life, there is a lot of things that actually comes or thrown at us as we are youth, as we are growing. Things like peer pressure, things like drug abuse, things like identity crisis, even in sexual orientation. Things that these are things that the desires of our flesh, and there is a tendency to want to yield in or to give in to those feelings. But now, when you grow up as a Christian, or when you are as a youth, you are growing up, there are decisions that you need to make, right? And I'm not saying that those decisions are easy to make. Sometimes they are not, because if we look into the book of Jude, and we go to verse number, I think that's verse number 3. He talks about contending for the faith. Actually, let me just have us quickly dash there so that we see what Jude says. Verse 3, he says, "Beloved, although I was very eager to write to you about our common salvation, I found it necessary." Right, I want you to mark those words. I found it necessary to write, appealing to you to contend for the faith that was once for all delivered to the saints. Right, now, he found it necessary because there is actually a battle. Life is a battle. As a Christian, you should understand that things don't come easy. You don't get things easy because you're a Christian. You're gonna contend for the faith, you know. And in most cases, the most easy thing to do is to do the wrong thing, you know, sometimes. But when you contend for the faith, when I look at the word contend, it's like hustling or taking charge, you know, fighting for something, you know. So when you're fighting to get something, it doesn't come easy. You know, I would look at people who like boxers, you know, who play boxing. You know, when you're contending, you know, they will say this is the first contender and the second contender. These are people that are fighting to get the championship. So when you have to contend for a championship, there's no games there, you know. You got to bring your A game. Why? Because you are contending and your aim is to win. You know, you don't fight to lose, but you fight to win. Just as much as we are living in this life as youths, right? Things, there are challenges, decisions to be made. You know, when your peers are coming to you and say, let's do this, and you know that those things are wrong, but you also want to maintain or keep your friendship with these people. You know, you're gonna contend. That's a battle there. That's why Jude was saying contend. It is very necessary that I tell you that contend for the faith. You know, it's not something that we can say it's easy to do. It's not gonna be easy. Who said it's gonna be easy? It's not. It's not easy. We gotta contend for the faith, you know. And also sometimes we as youths, we found ourselves in identity crisis, sexual orientation. Sometimes you don't know what is what, you know. And there's always an easy way to follow. But sometimes to actually come through to Christ and to be weaned out from sin, you need to pull yourself out by force. You know, sometimes you need to get out of certain friendships by force. Sometimes you need to walk out of certain relationships by force. Why? Because you're contending for your faith. Contending for your faith is not something that we can say you can just wake up to. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it can take days, of course. It can take weeks or months. But someone who's contending and he is consistently defending your faith or your beliefs, you continuously, it's an everyday job. You wake up and that's what you're doing. Your attitude shows that that's what you're doing. You are contending. Sometimes even if you walk into the marketplace or maybe at your workplace, sometimes it's easy to want to just give a moody face to your boss who's not been good to you, you know. But when you're contending for your faith, you work against all those natural feelings, and you can actually greet them nicely and say, hi, how are you, and all that, because you're contending for the faith. You're not going to be flowing with the mood, no, but you're going to be going by the will of God, by what God says. Now, as I want to close now, I want to talk about reaping. We talked about planting and harvesting. You reap what you sow. When you look at the book of Galatians chapter 6 from verse 7 to 8, it talks about whatever one reaps, that is what you sow. I mean, what you reap. What you sow is what you reap. What you plant is what you harvest. So you cannot plant guavas and expect to harvest bananas, right? What you plant is what you sow. So if you plant bitterness today, you are gonna reap bitterness. You reap or you harvest things that are in relation to what you've been planting. So my question would be this afternoon, what have you been planting, or what are you planting? Because you see, life is like we are on a higher purchase, right? So everything that you do is an installment towards acquiring something at the end of the day. So the bitterness that you have is an installment that is going to purchase a life of misery at the end of the day, or maybe after 10 years, right? So it's easy to be bitter now, but you don't know that you're actually planting a seed. You're planting something, and it's you who is going to make a harvest of it, right? So whatever you are planting, what are you planting today? Bad friendships? If you plant bad friendships, you are going to reap exactly that. If you are planting sleeping around with girls or sleeping around with boys, you are going to reap that you plant, right? So this is this is easy to say, right? But in practice, you're gonna contend for the faith. You're gonna put effort. You're gonna practice. You know, someone who's contending, you are deliberate with whatever you do, every decision that you make, right? They say that sometimes you don't choose the family in which you are born, right? Maybe they are poor or whatever, but you can decide who you want to be at the end of the day, right? So today, it's a day of making decisions, right? So I am just talking about this because I want to lay a foundation in terms of who we have believed in. We have believed in Jesus Christ as the Savior of our lives, right? So what we do now, we have given or surrendered our lives to Jesus and say, you lead, right? So it's his will that has to come forth first before our will come, right? It's not your friend's will, or we don't move by feelings, but his statutes, you know, his commandments, what he says we should do, and that's what we do, right? So for today, I just want to give you a summary that we choose. The decision is up to us to choose what we want to do with our lives, right? The direction that we want to follow, how we want tomorrow to look like. If you want your tomorrow to look great, then start planting. Whatever you are planting today, that's what you're going to harvest tomorrow. Whatever you are sowing today, that's what you're going to reap tomorrow. Ecclesiastes say, chapter 3, it says there is a time for everything. There is a time to plant and there's a time to harvest. So this time you are planting. Whatever you are planting, there is guarantee that you're going to be sowing. You're going to be reaping. You're going to be making a harvest. So what harvest are you going to be making at the end of the day? So I want this to be a challenge to you all to say, whatever I am doing, my life, whoever is my friend, these are installments that are going to have you purchase whatever that which you are planting or seeding into. God bless you.